What's up, boys?
What's going on? What's
Let's
going
do
on?
it. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
Tonight's
Absolutely.
episode, we're talking Indonesia and the islands surrounding it, where these reticulated pythons come from. Hey, boys?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Make
Oh,
sure we are liking and subscribing. I don't know if we've ever even really said that on here, but
I don't think we have. I was
We
thinking about that
haven't.
the other episode. I was like, you know what? I put it on there, but we ain't never talked about it.
yeah, I saw it pop up. I'm like, I think that's the first time I've noticed that, so I should maybe mention it. So yeah, like and subscribe for sure. Obviously, you see my name on Lee, formerly Urban Heart Exotics. I don't know if we even formally really introduced ourselves properly on these episodes, but that's who I am. That's where I'm from.
Nice. Levi, Arizona breeder, reptile collection to remember. One third of Triple Threat now.
Yes, sir.
I'm Bill. I'm with Triple Threat, CNB, West Valley Reptile Showcase.
And I will call the glue or the connector for all three of us because I met Levi through Bill. So
I
he's
met you
the
through
glue.
Bill, and
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny
So,
because I met both of you guys about going on almost 5 years ago now.
yeah.
yeah, that's been about 5 years, huh?
Time
It's,
flies, man.
It does, man.
especially when you're
It
having fun.
flies.
Yeah.
That's all we do is have fun around here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Bill was there when I cut my first clutch. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, island life on Indonesia. We thought it was pretty interesting. I can't remember if it was an off camera topic or something like that, but we were talking about the size differences from the islands and stuff. And I was wondering, like, what were some of the food sources maybe on the bigger islands that differ specifically, like pigs were like the thing I was thinking of. Like, are there pigs on Jampea versus, because I really didn't know like specific wildlife, just assumptions. You would think maybe when people get there, they bring pigs or whatever. And of course, how things work, pigs break out, they become part of the population of the animals. Maybe that's why some of those animals on those islands are bigger. So then we decided, hey, let's find out for sure. Let's make sure the knowledge that we do know is still legit, and then see if there's anything else that we could learn that we had questions on. That's what I thought was really cool about taking on this episode.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
when we started it out, we kind of all had to do a little bit of research. I think we all knew a little bit, but um, we all dove into it in different sections of it. And I got a little bit of information here on the mainland, just not about the snakes or anything, just some data, some info about the mainland I wanted to share. Um, Indonesia is the fourth largest population globally. It's got 280 million people, 17,000 islands. We don't have 17,000 localities of retics, I can tell you that. Um, uh, they do have one language that unites the country, Bahasa Indonesia. It's used in government and schools, so they do have a common language. Um, they're pretty family orientated people. They consider harmony a big value in their life. Um, they have a big street culture diet. They eat rice. They have a lot of rice in their diet. Um, they're not really one single type of people. There's just a bunch of different cultures connected. So the things I've mentioned are some of the things that connect them, as far as being the same instead of being different. Um, but that's kind of like what's going on in the mainland there. That's what you see, and that's what their communities are like over there. Anyway, just a short description.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're generally like not afraid of their retics and stuff like we have this fear here, especially in the states of snakes. Like there seems like to be you're more likely, if you ask someone if they're afraid of snakes, you're way more likely to hear yeah here than I would imagine there.
Yeah, they don't have that cultural fear of snakes. When they see a snake in their villages or anywhere, they just consider it another large wild animal. They don't freak out. They don't have fear connotation with it. The only time that they consider it to be a threat is when it gets too large, and starts eating their livestock most of the time. That's when they dispatch of them, and it's just like a matter of practicality. They can't afford to feed these large snakes their livestock that take care of their families.
Yeah.
So
Well, to relate it to the U.S., it would be the same thing as like we do with bears, wolves, coyotes. I mean, depending on where you are in the U.S., any of those, they get too large, they come get too close. You don't have a choice but to euthanize that animal by whatever means necessary, right?
Yeah. I mean, the reason there's not bears in California anymore.
right,
Shout
but
out to humans, bro. Sorry.
but the snakes, they just live with the people. Like they're found in rice fields, villages, rivers, forests. They are helpful when they help control livestock pests when they're small enough, and they control the rats. And they're basically just left alone unless they're considered extremely dangerous. The rare exception when it would eat a person, that usually makes national news, and that's so rare. um, but they use the snakes for food over there as well. Speaking of food, they use them. They're eaten and hunted and used, and the meat is sold in the markets over there. Um, it's across almost all Indonesia too. Some don't eat the snakes, but a lot of them do. And then
And
the other thing being they're dispatched for their skin, obviously over there. That is regulated under Indonesian law. But if you've seen the videos, there is so many snakes being skinned over there for bags, belts, accessories, stuff like that. And the reason they like the retic pelts is because they're so big and they're durable. So, and they have a nice pattern, obviously. But that's basically how it is over there. They don't really keep them as pets either. They just think it's impractical to keep one as a pet. So here we try to get them, bond with them, and enrich with them. But over there, they're just part of the culture. They're not really. Once in a while, you might. I know I follow a guy on Instagram that's got a great big one. It's really cool, and he's over there, but it's not typical.
right. So to go back on something that you spoke on, I would love to go to Indo and talk to these people that eat the animal and figure out how they make that feasible and learn more about that. Because to my knowledge, they were trying this with Burmans in Florida, but the mercury level's too high. And I know that they're different species, but the mercury levels has always been a discussion in reptiles. I think reptiles, right, Lee? Correct me if I'm wrong, but the mercury levels in the meat's too high. If you eat too much of it, you're going to get sick.
I think it's also though an issue with fish as well.
Oh, it's for sure an issue in fish, depending on the waters that they're in. Like Arizona's a prime example of that.
Well, and what I would maybe argue what makes like berms potentially what makes the berms an issue, specifically the ones they catch in Florida and stuff, is our waters can be pretty toxic, especially like the oil spills and stuff that we've had in the Gulf. I would be interested to see if it's kind of like a trickle up through the food. It gets concentrated as it goes up the food chain. I would bet it's more of like an America problem. That would just be my guess.
Okay. I didn't think about that. Touche.
I have no facts to back that up.
That makes too much
guess.
sense to not make sense though, because you think, well, you brought up our fish life, right?
Yeah.
The fish in the states, I know for a fact, have higher mercury levels than some other places. I'm sure other countries face the same issue, but
Yeah.
specifically in this instance, I think you're right. Yeah, I didn't even think about like the berms and where they're found. It's escaping me. Their mercury levels not being as high as ours. So,
Yeah.
but still would love to go to Indo and talk to them about it, like how they cook
absolutely.
it, how they prepare it, how they clean the animal, what the procedure on that is. I would love to learn more. And I appreciate them for that, right? Like, boys, if we could talk about an animal being dispatched, euthanized, killed, however you want to word it, as long as they're using it for a proper purpose, I'm good with it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I may not be wording this right, but a way to most of the time to conserve a species is to make the species valuable in some sort of a way, to regulate it, use the money you're using to have people licensed to go hunt them or whatever. You use that money to put back in towards the environment to help conserve, give them land that they can't be hunted on, conserve the population. So I'm a big, I like hunting and stuff if it's used as as a way for conservation to happen. And also animal management needs to happen. If we take out all the predators and there's no predators to take out the prey, it's our responsibility to then accept the role of predator.
I agree. What do you think, Bill?
That's interesting. I mean, it's a different culture, we don't think about the snakes the same way. So if that's how they use them and that's how they were, brought up in their culture and their environment, and they're using the full animal, I mean, I don't have anything against hunters. So I guess I couldn't have anything against them for that. As sad as it is, I love the animal, but looking at it from a practical standpoint, and what they've got to do for their economic situation has to be taken into consideration as well.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. I know we haven't seen you since last year.
Fucking chuckles. I done totally forgot about the goddamn comment section. That's my fault, guys. Welcome in, everybody. Sorry for ignoring you. Hi, Amber. Hi, Chuckles. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Dana. Anybody else in here? Hi, Kelly. Our usuals.
Yeah. But I think if there's some sort of money or value behind the animal, then they can be conserved. And then a couple of quick points. One, I messed up. There are bears in California, but there's no brown bears anymore. There's a reason for that. That was bothering me because I had a feeling maybe someone out there would know that I was wrong a little bit on that one. But also, too, on the Burmese pythons and the mercury levels, I'm pretty sure people eat iguanas. So that kind of throws the reptile argument out the window. And people eat alligator, too. But I think alligator, you can only eat a certain amount. And they're eating pretty much similar things to the Burm. So maybe.
We got beef now, Amber. It's all right. Leave my rattlesnakes alone.
I was tricked into eating turtle once, and it was disgusting.
Dude, I had turtle voluntarily, and that shit's gross.
It's gross.
It is. I've been told it depends on the turtle.
Pretty fucking gross.
Well, the bottom line is the retics aren't endangered over there. There's plenty of them, and they're harvesting them the way we do with deer in the Midwest. So it's the circle of life.
Yeah, and I think people farm them too. So it's also there's farming, which doesn't put too. If they're farming them, it's not putting pressure on the wild population too, or at least not as much.
They said that's not as rare, but it does. They do farm them, yes.
Yeah.
Or it's a little more rare.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they're plentiful out there. I mean, you run around and it's not very difficult. It's like us finding a gopher snake. That's the one I was using backstage, right? I was finding a gopher snake in Arizona or a garter snake in the East Coast and in people's front yard. Like they're all over the place. Like I'm sure people seen the viral photo of the kid in Indo with the giant reticulated python in his house. Background on that photo, that's a wild reticulated python from what I understand. And that's how they are. Like they're just there. They're not scared. Like you said, they're not scared of them, right? They welcome them in. They respect them. They don't keep them as pets, but they do what they do. They also live very differently than we do in the U.S., right? We don't just welcome wildlife in.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that'd be cool as shit, though. Like getting an Airbnb or something out there, whatever they want to call it. And like you just have a wild retic run up in your house. That would be cool as shit, right?
It'd be pretty wild. Yeah, I had a video, or not a video, but a picture. I'm not sure. It was when I was looking up Carampas specifically, but it could be one of those islands. But it was like a retic just like reaching up to a guy's hand on the street. It's pretty crazy. Like it's just a different different world. Be awesome.
See, that's cool. So
yeah, it would be super cool. Definitely, that's a bucket list trip, is to go to some of those islands. I mean, really, to hit all of the main islands would be fun. The Slayer chain.
hold up, pause. Bill, you was hunting squirrels in college?
Oh yeah,
Ah, that's cool.
I've hunted everything.
Nice.
Dude, you know what's crazy about that real quick? We've been watching this like survival show. And one of the biggest things they eat in Alaska is squirrel. And they it's like delicious to them because they're fucking starving. But to hear from somebody that's got food on their table every day that is gross, that's eye opening.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had squirrel yet.
Squirrel and
that's
noodles.
cool.
Squirrel and noodles.
Interesting.
Oh.
So back to the mainland. So back to Indonesia, finding out Indonesia and the life there. Most of like those smaller islands that we consider like the super dwarf islands. Most of those have like small villages on them. I think between all the other islands like that aren't Slayer, there's like 30,000 people spread out amongst all of those other islands, and then I think 100,000 is the population on Slayer. So they're not big villages; they're like small villages that are really used to maintain like the banana farms and stuff that they have on those islands. So I think those farms have brought in a different level of like food sources to those retics. But depending on the islands, some of their food sources were seasonal. A lot of them were like birds, cockatoos, that kind of stuff that live in that area is what they're feeding on. Bats. They're found in a lot of caves and stuff. They get preyed on by water monitors that also inhabit those islands. I think there may be some back and forth. They possibly even snag some of the water monitors, depending, the size flipping and stuff like that. They maybe snag some of those babies, probably some back and forth there. So their island life is definitely different, but their weather is very consistent there. It's usually 79 to like mid to upper 80s is like the most it fluctuates through the year. But even then, when it gets into those temperature ranges, they don't fluctuate more than like 8 degrees. So it's a pretty consistent region as far as like weather and temperatures go. And then humidity levels are pretty consistent through those islands as well.
So live look into the Slayer Island chain. It looks like we're going to have a high of 87, low of 80 for tomorrow, 86, 80 on Saturday, 86, 79 on Sunday. So, yeah, we're talking 7, 8 degrees from high to low. And that's throughout the week. Or actually, next weekend, you're only going to see a high of 86 and a low of 80. And then Sunday, 86 to 80. So, or 84 to 80. So, between 7 to 4 degrees. That's an insane, like, you're not really going to feel much of a difference.
Nope. And then if they're getting into shade or anything like that, if they're not sitting, directly out in that sun and stuff like that, it's probably even cooler. So, they probably dig a little bit cooler temperatures, especially these island snakes.
But not too cool. Not too cool. I notice when I've gotten my temperature down to 75. I think that's too cold. I think it needs to be a minimum of 80, like what we were just reading.
Yeah.
What do you think?
They get down, I think, into like the low, like, the mid 70s is like their low. But yeah, I would say, like, keeping wise, I don't keep any lower than about 78 at any point in time in anything. And that's really just like the nighttime drop when I just kind of drop everything down. But most of the time, yeah, I'm sitting at that 80 to 86 range year round for them.
That's what I do. I do give them 88 with a temperature drop to 80.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just found keeping them a little bit cooler definitely helped out with like nose pushing and stuff like that.
I can get down with that.
Yeah, I mean, because like when everyone else, you get an animal, you go, oh, how do you keep a retic on Google or whatever, and there's just the generic 90-degree hot spot, 80-degree, 85-degree cool spot, and that's how you keep them. And it's like, nope, not necessarily.
Yeah.
'Cause
No, I
I think
agree.
I
mainland's
don't, because they don't get to pick and choose. Hey, I want to. I mean, during the day they can, but at night they've got a pretty much a constant temperature.
yeah.
During the day they can get a little bit of a heat gradient, but
Mm,
not at night as much. I wouldn't think, unless they really bury themselves under something, which I don't think they do that much.
no. There's
So
caves and stuff.
live look into Indo's weather, the main island, 85-76 today, or well, there today, Friday. There Saturday, 80-75, Sunday, 85-77, Monday, 85-77, Tuesday, 85-77, Wednesday, 86-77. So we look like a 10-degree swing.
Yeah.
So again, nothing like the US.
No. No, and I'm pretty sure, the closer you get to the coast, the cooler, you more inland you get, the warmer. It just depends on where you're kind of sitting at with them. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is like a broad map,
yeah.
like covering all of Indo, not altitudes, stuff like that. But from what I read on the islands, the highest altitude that you're going to get on the islands is like 3,000 feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once you get like the
That's
mountains and
crazy.
stuff.
Well, that's the highest point. Like, there's no other higher points than 3,000 feet out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like going to freaking Prescott. Is that right before Sedona? Before you get up in the high country out here? Yeah, it's like going to Prescott
Cottonwood,
for
something like
us.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like those smaller islands, they're pretty flat. They don't have much elevation to them. They're pretty much just farm islands now for the most part. There's one island that doesn't seem like it's pretty not inhabited very much at all. But
We got a question here. Do we keep hides for our retics? Theirs love their hides, and they love it. I do
I
with the little
use
ones. With the little ones, I do.
I use them for everything, all the way up to my giant mainland has a hide. I mean, I
yeah,
get the enclosures like an enclosure or whatever, but like they still want privacy and somewhere they can put their body up against 360.
yeah,
They
yeah.
want to feel the roof, they want to feel the bottom, they want to feel the sides, and it does help with security. And I feel temperament too.
I all mine have hides or somewhere that they can go to hide or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. I do hides on everything for sure. But it's difference in keeping. So
Have to think about that. I usually only do it with my yearlings and down.
well, I mean, but your style of keeping's I have argued is a lot different. I mean, when you're doing your free roaming housing and stuff like that, they're the snake, it really kind of considers its cage its hide at that point, especially at like Sylvia's size or something like that. I have a hide in the cage that I have her in here. She doesn't use the hide at all. So I mean, it's what snakes will use.
Right.
Yeah, but she.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at Jez
Every time I come in
wrapped
the room,
around
she
her
wants to
hide.
come out. It's hilarious.
I would say Jez is my only snake I wouldn't put a hide in for because I have one in there for her, but she's never in it. She just wraps around it.
I have some that never used them.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, I could see it where it's really only like juvenile, babies to subadults that will really use them. But I have a. It also depends. My super dwarf, the pure girl, like the adult one I have, she uses her hide all the time, but she's also not very big, so she can fit in it really easily. Like sometimes she's in that hide, and I have no idea she's in it.
Don't you have sky hides too, Lee?
I usually do. Yeah, I took them off.
Okay. Were they used?
Huh?
Did they ever use them, or is that why you took them out? Because
Yeah.
they don't use them.
No, well, I took them out because the ones I had sky hides were in my 18-inch tall enclosures because I didn't have a shelf in there, so I wanted to give them something they can climb up into. Now my 18-inch tall ones are used for monitors, so there's no point.
Okay.
But the retics are in my 2 foot talls. They have a shelf, so I don't find a real point to put a sky hide in there. Plus, they have the radiant heat panel that sits on the top, so it's not much room.
Okay.
Yeah, I would much rather have the shelf than the sky hide if I had the option. I think the shelf's better.
I agree. So let's talk dietary, right?
Yeah.
Bill, did you cover their food source on the island, on the
No, on the
mainland?
mainland.
I did not cover specific foods that they were eating.
Well, did here, hold on.
Yeah, I think mostly like until people brought like farming, which they were like mouses and shrews and stuff. There were small mammals, but I think rats also got brought onto those smaller islands that kind of helped keep that brought an additional food source to the smaller ones. But for the most part, they were like bird, bats, maybe the monitor lizards. I'm still not convinced that they did that, but people say they did, so that's out there. But yeah, their food sources are pretty limited on the smaller islands. I would imagine on the dwarf island, the bigger ones, there's pigs and stuff, and that's probably maybe why you can get some bigger animals, but maybe not. Maybe they're just on the mainland.
Yeah, it looks like they got.
I'm looking through my notes here.
Well, I googled it, man. I'm not against that. I don't know what I don't know. There's all kinds of like mammals on the islands. I mean, there's no way anybody would ever memorize this or know this. They have several different species of rats out there. Looks like some varying sizes from like the smallest of small to relatively large. They got flying squirrels out there. They got squirrels in general, like your average looking squirrel. Like this is interesting. Large bamboo rat. It looks like a freaking beaver. Hold on, let me see if I can show this. Like, look at that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as a small retic, that's a perfect meal source. Let me see if I can find their bigger mammals. Hold on.
Okay, I found it in my notes. Rats, mice, birds, bats, chickens, ducks, pigs, goats, dogs, deer, monkeys.
Yep. Pretty much, if you're the good right size, you can get it.
Yeah, they got mongooses out there.
Yeah.
That's a source for all the way up to a subadult, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. A monkey, I mean, they get all kinds of different sizes. They have
Yeah.
deer out there, apparently. Did you mention deer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pigs,
so these guys
goats.
they have a unlimited amount of food from every size, you know?
It's just when you get to the islands that the availability of food sources starts to dwindle down.
All right, Lee, let's go to the super doors and then we'll touch the doors. What food sources did you find?
Basically, all the different bird species, cockatoos. There's another endemic species. I don't even want to try to mispronounce the name of it. Some bird specialists out there will get mad at me for doing it, but there's a specific bird that's out on those islands as well. Rats, definitely ones that were brought maybe not completely native from there. There's mice that were native from there, shrews, bats, other water monitors, other sorts of lizards. I mean, there's all that kind of gambit, but what there doesn't seem to be is anything crazy big on the island. The only other things that are like big on the island would be those water monitors, and the adult water monitors I don't believe are being taken out by the retics on those islands. They have been documented and shown to be actually eating the retics.
Okay.
I would suspect that maybe like baby water monitors get jacked by like subadult and adult retics on the islands, but it's kind of like tit for tat. You take out a couple of theirs, they take out a couple of yours, kind of management system, I think, between predators.
gang warfare going on out there, bro. You
A
take
little
one of
bit,
ours,
yeah.
we take one of yours.
Yeah, bats. I don't know if I mentioned bats, but there are caves and stuff on those islands, and they'll sit on the openings and snag the bats as they fly out or fly in.
So I think that's a consistent between all three of our topics of talking about dwarfs, super dwarfs, and mainlands is bats. That is a consistent where all three share that food source.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I found on where the dwarf species are found, small like possum like mammals.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like a medium sized food, not a very large. I mean, possums don't get very very big. They get big enough to feed like a small mainland, if you will. Bats and rodents. But one interesting source that I found, it's not proven that retics eat them, but it's a thought process that could be seen. I don't know if anybody's ever tried, like we do with colubrids, to feed fish, but marine life was brought in. There's all sorts of different fish and uh, marine life out there that is available to the wildlife. It's
Yeah.
not very far away. Obviously, it's an island, and then the water sources on the islands and on the mainland. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
And their fish go from just like anywhere else in the world can go from a couple inches all the way up to a few feet.
Yeah. I didn't come across that so much with when I was researching the island, the super dwarf island specifically, especially researching when I got into this hobby many years ago. Like fish wasn't too much of an option for them just because of the basically the scenario that they're on. I mean, there's no real beaches, so it's either like hanging off a cliff or like hanging off a mangrove or whatever. And at that time, I mean, also energy waste, like falling in water versus just snagging a bird out of air. I think the energy conservation in that snag the bird or bat, don't risk falling in the water.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
But
looking at this just to let people know, that's about the size of the islands that we're talking about.
yeah, and I mean the specific islands we're talking about, you probably can't even really see in that picture. Like you have to really kind of
Zoom in, right?
get in there, yeah. But 17,000 islands, and I think we only recognize like what 7 or 8, maybe. There's probably some more recognized, localities. But there's a ton of islands, and there's tons of islands in between localities that we recognize, and I can't imagine that there isn't retics on them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, like,
But we'll
culture
never see 'em.
wise, huh?
So we'll never see them, at least not in like captivity here, because of the Lacey Act. We can't bring in any more retics or anything. So
Boo. Do we have a media boo? Hold on. Don't.
that's what we need. Boo.
Fuck the Lacey Act.
Yeah, that one sucks.
So it's pretty
Yeah,
much
culture
just what we.
wise. Oh, go ahead.
It's pretty much what we thought, or what everybody says. Then the size pretty much is dictated by the food source. It appears.
Yeah. It appears.
Which I mean. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it appears that everything we kind of heard is it's insular island dwarfism, which is basically predicated on food source.
Yeah, and I mean you see it in other animals too. Like you can say the crocodile, the alligator, and the great white. Before whatever historic event that people want to call whatever people want to say of where it truly started, these animals were massive animals. They were truly the size of like cars and buses. And over time, the food source shrank, and instead of going extinct, the animal said, "Hey, we're going to survive. We're going to figure it out." Right? Obviously, what is that word? Not
Paraphrasing?
personify. No, not paraphrasing. Putting like human emotion into it, right?
Yeah. Anthropomorphizing.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now, but trying to make it make as much sense as possible. Obviously, they're not talking in their heads like we do, but at least that we know of. But they're like, we're going to survive. We're going to live, right? And we're going to make this food source work. And I don't know if enough research has been done to prove that the snakes have been there the whole time. Maybe they got blown up by a storm. Maybe they got, the water levels were higher. They traveled over there. The water levels dropped. They're stuck. However the snake came to be, it's there and it found a way to survive. Whether they started at a 20-foot reticulated python and shrunk its way down to, what would that be, de-evolution or evolution, right? Just the opposite size way, and found a way to survive, or they've been there from the dawn of time and made the food source work.
Yeah, I think there's a truly super adaptable species of snake, and they can adapt and evolve or be what the environment that they happen to live in that can sustain them, at least breeding wise. If the environment can sustain them breeding wise, they will adapt to their environment and be what it needs it to be, whether that's a 6 to 8 foot animal or a 20-foot animal. It's what the environment is calling for it. So.
And then one topic that I wanted to bring up was Sulawesi, where the monsters are found.
Yeah.
Their food source isn't too much different than all the others,
they're
but
just
they're monsters. Yeah.
Well, they're just on the mainland. So their food source probably, whether we want to document it or not, they're probably, because they're on the mainland and there's more population of people. What do people have? Livestock. Perfect sized animals for those animals to snag.
So what you're saying is we played interference.
Potentially. I mean, Sulawesi is a mainland. I mean, there's deer and there's animals that are on or in the Sulawesi region of Indonesia that aren't on these islands that they do have access to. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But also the population of, all those people that have dogs, cats in the city, all the rats that are in the city, all the chickens and all the other shit that they can eat. I know there's chickens and stuff on those islands too, but,
I don't think in the droves, like the mainland would have.
Yeah. So I mean, Sulawesi is definitely a little bit different. I don't know. I wonder why Sulawesi was singled out as something so special, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's the mainland. So,
well,
Sulawesi.
I think it's an island, though.
It's a giant island spread up into north, south, east, and west, or central Sulawesi, south Sulawesi, southeast Sulawesi, and west Sulawesi. It's a big, big, big island.
But it is okay.
Yeah, it's huge, especially compared to the localities that we're used to. I mean, even compared to Slayer, I mean, you start zooming out, Slayer's barely a percentage of Sulawesi.
I saw those Sulas online. I kind of want one.
Yeah. It's insane.
Keep looking at them. They're 50%ers. There's several of them on there.
I would imagine it's their pattern that kind of singles them out, because they do have, it seems like they have a pretty unique coloration and pattern. Like they're almost like a natural platinum, and is their base. Like their wild type's almost platinum-esque.
Their lines are thick.
Yeah. It's weird. Like their color's super bright, but their lines are really thick, where platinum usually gets rid of the black, thick lines. And then they have some pretty wild, neck pattern that goes up and does some circular things. They're pretty cool for sure. But yeah. So that's Indonesia.
Sorry, I'm just looking at something here, guys.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's some commonalities, there's some distinct differences. Food sources, I think the only common one, they're the only one that they share all three is bat. So that's not a culture wise on where the dwarves are found. It's I mean, Slayer itself is the only one that's really got tourism going on. Outside of that, it's just island life. It's your typical either farming, surviving on an island, and when we say island, we're not talking about Hawaii.
No.
I don't want to say third world, but distant island life.
Almost it's
isolation.
It's very lower it's lower class, like community society type island life, fishing. It's not only fishing to like sell and live, but it's like fishing to survive and eat for dinner. Like pretty much basically everyone that lives on the islands are fishermen or farmers on the really small islands. There is now like some pretty good tourism to like the Kalatoa Island in particular. You can find tourism. Some guys like online and stuff have gone there and like set up trips with people to go there. So like it's starting to find a little bit of tourism in there, but it's not like all the islands and stuff. Like you'd still have to have a hard time getting over to Madu, I think, and Karampa. Like you'd have to find someone that would take you over there and stuff. So
Yeah. It's not like a vacationing area.
yeah,
Mm.
definitely not. It's like
I
going camping.
wonder if the Kalatoa snake has anything to do with the tourism getting more popular, if that played any influence at all, even if the slightest bit, right?
I mean, maybe one would think. I mean, what else other than snakes have you heard of that have come out? I mean, I get it.
I was just about to say that.
From. I don't know anything else. Like when I looked up Kalatoa, the biggest thing what comes up like when you hear is islands, small locality of retics. It's literally like one of the first. It's in the first sentence when you look up Kalatoa Island. They bring up the retic. So, yeah, I would think maybe it becoming more popular has something to do with it.
That's one of our episodes too. Retic vacations. And we're going to bring up Puerto Rico too.
Yeah.
So they've let them go in Puerto Rico, from what I understand, so much that there's morphs swinging from the trees. I've seen the videos. It's insane. That's what I want to go see.
Yeah, I mean, well, also like the island localities, Anery throughout like is pretty a natural occurring morph in the super dwarf islands. Supposedly there's some sort of T positive albino, whether it's purple or like a Indo caramel type was seen on Karampa. When like Daniel Solis went, supposedly he saw an albino on there. I think at least that's what I think I heard. I could be totally wrong, and feel free to comment and say I was wrong or I heard wrong, but that's kind of the thing with this. You kind of hear things through the grapevine, and that's what I had heard that he said he saw.
I mean, it would make sense, man. Albinos for occurring morphs would be the most common, in my opinion. You go out, look at gopher snakes, like Arizona. We'll use Arizona for example, because I know for a fact this happens on a more regular basis than people are willing to admit. They swear it's like a rarity, but you see it the most. Albino gopher snakes found commonly for the not super commonly, but like on the scale of common, I would put it higher than the lowest ranking, right? And they're found in the wild. They're found in the wild all the freaking time. You see photos and documents of people and it's a genuine find. It's not that this gopher snake was found in my backyard and there's a gopher snake breeder 3 houses down. I found this out in the desert. I found this, in a neighborhood, but there's no snake breeder that's accounting for it. And the neighborhood's so new that you can't really say that there's a snake keeper there. Yeah. So I would believe him. I would believe that 100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a little bit more believable, especially seeing that they are found quite commonly, it seems like, in Puerto Rico, which to be fair, I was as surprised as anyone, I think, when I found out they were there, like especially like wild populations of them.
It wasn't until I sent you guys that video of the dude finding them in Puerto Rico that I knew they were in Puerto Rico. They're not naturally occurring; they're invasive, but to know they're there, that's pretty cool.
But the environment is absolutely perfection for them to thrive there, unlike Florida.
Oh, like in that video I sent you, I think he found a white albino in the tree, didn't he?
Yes. I'll never forget that. I said, I'm going.
Yeah. Puerto Rico.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would love to go do that. A couple of herping trips. I mean, I would even like to do a Costa Rica herping trip, but we'll save that for that episode. That's fine. We'll talk about that later.
I mean, it's coming down the pipe.
We got a herping episode, yeah.
Hey, Dana, how's it going?
What up,
Dana, they're
Dana?
saying hi to you. They can't hear, she can't hear you because you're on my glasses.
Oh,
Yeah,
At
they
first,
can see you back there.
I was kind of like, what has he got going on in his screen? And then I was like, oh wait, that's Dana.
A little midget back there, a little shorty.
she gonna
Midget's
swing on
probably
you,
not
bro.
the
You better
best
be
word.
careful.
What? Right from the back. Oh,
Oh man,
that's a good
that's
one. I
crazy.
mean, island life.
I mean, so Lee, to tap on something that you were talking about earlier, you said there's what 17,000 islands, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Bill said that.
So there's 17,000 islands. Why do you think it is that only two, three, four of them are super popular? Obviously, like Slayer it's got tourism and stuff going on it. Now Kalatoa does, but why did we pick just two of the others to go explore and import snakes from?
I mean,
Do you think? Right, this is just theory.
I think the obvious thing would be like kind of like why I brought up like why did Sulawesi's become like so big when they're still like when they're considered a mainland anyways, And I think really I think these islands were unique like to the typical retic that people were bringing in. I think when they got to these islands, I think their patterns and stuff were unique enough that they were like, oh, let's see if like how these enter the market, and people ate them up. They're like, holy shit, these are cool. These patterns are this, that, and the other. Or these snakes are more gray, which is like when the anery came in. They're like, why are these silver snakes?
Okay.
Why are these patterns so much crazier and more connected or thinner? Blacks. The scale big thing you'll hear is like scale count on like the black. Oh, this is 3 scales wide on the black lines, whereas like a Kalatoa is usually like a single scale of black that surrounds it. So I think it's just because they were unique enough, and that uniqueness was popular. People liked the way that they looked.
Okay. Looks like Kelly fact checked us.
Yeah, it makes sense. But she spelled Kalatoa wrong. Oh, Bill's gonna murder you. Bill is gonna murder you.
There's an O between the A and the T.
Yeah, but no, I think
Damn Americans fucking up the spelling.
them Americanizing that Kalatoa. Yeah.
Barbecue sauce on it.
Get some of that barbecue sauce on there. Yeah, nice. But yeah, I think the patterns and the colors and stuff were unique enough, and then the size became was a huge thing on the smaller islands. Where I think it maybe gets a little bit fishy is, like I was saying, like when you get around to those smaller islands, there's a lot of other small islands that are not too far away with seemingly similar, if not the same kind of environment. You would think that they're also found there, which I think just opens up the argument that a lot of them are probably...
the islands probably do have more snakes on them.
I would imagine. Well, and I would imagine like if you're close to one, they're probably considered the same animal. Like in the guy that's collecting them up off the islands, because these islands aren't very big. I don't know how long they were exporting from those islands, and they were exporting bagfuls to different importers into America, but not only into America, but the UK as well, and God knows where else. So it's like, how many can you really pull from those small islands and get out into these people's hands? Even at that point in time, I mean, it just logically makes sense. They were just collecting them from all of those islands around that area, all of those smaller islands. And then if they were remotely close to one, that's what they were calling them.
Well, they were calling them...
looked like them.
Weren't they calling them all Kalatoa at one time? And that's what the old schools become?
They were just labeling them super dwarf. They would just on the bag was just labeled super dwarf. That's all they were labeled. And then where I think this all starts to get real fishy is then the name or the specific locality got popular. And if you, just as like a not super wealthy nation and not a super wealthy exporter, if you had heard somewhere down the grapevine that Kalatoas were going to sell for a couple bucks more, and that's the difference between you surviving and you and your family surviving, do you think it's possible that people just started writing Kalatoa on every fucking bag, no matter what?
That's where legitimacy comes into play in these locality searches and pedigrees.
Well, what I'm arguing is there probably and is most likely no, you can't really get legitimate unless you went and grabbed them yourself, is what I'm trying to say. Is because you're only trusting the exporter that got him, that wrote Kalatoa on the bag before he put them in the box and shipped them to you. And how trustworthy can that guy really be? Who does he? Maybe he owes money to people. You don't really know the situations over there, which I understand that argument, and that's why I've kind of relax so much on trying to do the Pokemon thing and collect all the localities. I kind of want like certain animals now.
I love that metaphor. Yeah, and I mean, coming from a different side of the hobby and working and hearing the horror stories that come from exporters, I mean, that's bad. Everything you're saying could be it's very plausible to say that that was the kind of stuff that was going on. And mislabeling and misinformation, not that it's like with malintention, happens all the freaking time where something's mislabeled or something's put on there for a higher price tag, which I guess malintention would be. Well, not even malintention at that point. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know about us. They don't know about the big names. They don't care about Bob or prehistoric or anybody. They don't give a damn what we're doing. They're just putting a label on it. They're selling it. They're making their money. It's a 9 to 5 for them or a side hustle. They're making their money and they're going home. They don't care. There's no
But
investment for them.
I mean,
right,
you just
there's no way of knowing for sure, but it's kind of like getting an autograph from somebody. You don't know if it's real or not. You didn't get it. But what we have to go by is the importers that have the best reputation. And that's where the value of the snakes come, is that can you get it? How good can you get this pedigree? How
Yeah.
good can you get it? Let's trace these ones that are from the reliable people that so and so knows went to Kalatoa, knows went to Karampa. They know these people.
They think they know the exporter. I mean, and they think they can trust the exporter is what I'm getting
Right.
at. They didn't
And that's
specifically go and grab the animals and put them in the bags, label them, and ship them to themselves. They're just
right. And
going
they
off of trust, which just like I can't argue that that's not true. Like with the TK Kalatoa situation, like they're a Kalatoa to me, and they will forever be that way because just as much as you can't prove that they are, you can't prove that they are not either. And it's pretty well established that they're a Kalatoa line. So like that's kind of where I get with it. Like what's here and what's established and what we've already agreed upon, as skeptical as I may be that of the legitimacy, I'm respecting the fact that that's what we are. That's the standard.
Yeah,
As well
I
as
don't think it's. Oh, go ahead.
as well as like I'm not going to call my old school super dwarf girl a locality because I don't have that information on her, but she's definitely not a mainland. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, and it's never about questioning the importer. It's about questioning the exporter, the person that's putting them in the bag on the island. The
Yes,
importer can have, and the importer doesn't know what they don't know. Unless they
exactly.
are watching the exporter do these things, or they are going over there themselves and becoming the exporter and the importer. You're putting all your faith into the exporter, and again, hearing all the stories about the exporter that are in other hobbies, dude, they don't care. They genuinely don't. And it's not that it's a malice intent. It's not that they don't care in a bad way. They don't know about us. They don't get all this information.
No,
They don't get told that, hey, I do need you to do these things. And then again, there's other influences. They live a completely different life than we do. We're in a first world problem situation. They're in a third world problem situation. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Money's way different over there. The way things are done are different. Their style of life, their quality of life, everything is so much different. They're putting a lot of faith in that situation.
And I mean, I don't want to be Mr. like Captain Conspiracy, but like let's just say I was importing snakes and I just got a bag, and couldn't I have just written like Kalatoa on it myself, or Super Dwarf onto the bag with a Sharpie and taken a picture and be like, hey, this is what it came in as, you know?
And back in the day, that's really the only information that they could do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
taking a photo was like legendary.
Yeah. So
That's the thing,
like,
people, when you say back in the day, you're not talking 5 years ago. You're talking 10,
Yeah.
20,
I
sometimes
think
30, depending on what you're working with. 50?
When the ban went in effect, what, 2013?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So, and what we're talking about, the like most recent snakes that could have ever been imported were what, 2013 when it would have went into effect, or 2012 or whatever. So right around that time, like that's the last legal new blood that came in.
And what's crazy, in 2013, technology still wasn't that great. I hope people understand that there's so many other outside factors that vary into that. Like, technology was today is leaps and bounds ahead of what we had in 2013. And I mean, I can give you a real life example. You take a 2013 Model S, go drive that, and go drive a 2026 Model S, and let me know how fast that technology changed in that,
Yeah.
13 years?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But not trying to delegitimize anyone. That's not what we're trying to do. I think the legitimate lines are the ones that we consider legitimate.
Questions.
But I hear out people's questions, and I have my own questions as well. But I've also, like, I respect the ones that were there before me or with me while I was doing it, and respect what they have. So if they have Kalatoas, they have Kalatoas, and if they don't, or if we can't trace it, then it's old school. Unless it's a mutt. If it's 50% Super Dwarf or whatever.
I noticed on Morph Market that TK Kalatoa is now being described as old school.
Yeah. Yeah,
in their descriptions, they're changing it. I saw a snake today that was that had it TK Kalatoa 25, and the dam was 50% Kalatoa and 50% Madu, but they listed it as 50% old school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Interesting.
And they described why. They said because TK is a cross between Kalatoa and Madu. That's just one person's ad, but that's what they said.
See, but that's where a lot of people lose me, because I keep it transparent. I don't know.
Now TKs are half Madu.
That's just what the ad said.
I mean, that's wild. This shit's wild. I mean, I heard one person's argument not too long ago that they were actually Jampayas. So it's funny that they're now 50% Kalatoas and 50% Madus for one person, and then someone I'm pretty sure they're associates with said that they're actually Jampayas. So, fuck. Who knows what they are? Maybe they're Kalatoas.
I don't have a drop of that in my collection. If I did, I don't know what I'd do.
I would willingly fucking all my pure girls, if they were TK Kalatoas, I would gladly switch them out. I would have TK Kalatoa in my line, in my stock, and proudly announce it and show it. That's a legit line. I mean, it's legit in the sense that they thought, when he brought them in, they thought, oh, these are just mainlands, let's force feed them, and they couldn't get any bigger. Like, they were the ones that proved that they're super dwarfs, in my opinion. So that's ridiculous. But yeah, I would definitely have TKs. I think his pattern just works with what I like too.
I think the coolest patterning has got to be on that Karampa.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That neck pattern is the neck patterns on a Karampa are wild.
Karampas are cool. I like them.
Yeah. Yeah, then even with them, it's like, which island do those ones really come from? And then even then, really, is there a difference between a Karampa, Kalatoa, and Madu? They're all super, super, super close to each other as far as location, geographically. Like, are they really different animals? I mean, they're different islands for sure, but are they really different animals? Is there really a size difference between those three? Probably not. They're probably, you really should, all three of them should have the same range. You know, take the smallest of the small and the biggest of the big, and that's the range for all three of those islands, in my opinion. I don't think one
I get
island
down
is
with
better
that.
than the other.
I mean, it's the same thing as like colubers in localities and breaking certain things down, and like you see, it's not as like detrimental as like the retics, and this is where I struggle a little bit, like wrapping my head around some of these like serious arguments that happen over this and the money that gets put into it and all the other stuff. It's just insanity to me because there are what we call natural integrates, and to tell the difference sometimes is damn near impossible. And sometimes you just got to call it. You just got to be like, yeah, that's a gopher, and this is where it was found, and it looks like it has this influence, or it looks like it has this influence.
Yeah.
And that's what you call it because you can't prove it. You weren't there to see the snakes mate. You weren't there to do the work. But then there are some that are very, very distinct at the end of the day, where you can say, yes, that is like a Christmas Mountain gopher snake. 100%. You can label that Christmas Mountain and know it's Christmas Mountain.
Well, like
But you also
San
gotta,
Diego and Sonoran, like there's definitely a difference.
oh yeah, that's apples to oranges. But
Right,
you got to
right,
do
yeah,
the
I'm just saying,
research. You got to do the studying. You got to know everything. And I think it's easier for us in the North American colubers to do that because we can just go take a road trip and find them. You know, we can do the studies. We can't necessarily go like what. There's been like 1, 2, maybe 3 people in the hobby that have actually gone down to the freaking islands and put in the footwork.
Yeah.
That's
for
3
sure.
people. That's definitely not enough.
No, not enough. Not enough studying. Not enough money into studying them. So it is what it is. I just think that some of those islands and stuff are probably a lot similar than we'll ever know. We need to sit over here in the States and argue and bicker and see whose is better, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, boys. We explored
All right.
the islands, well, the mainland and the islands of Indonesia. Again, the map. We discovered Indo. I think we out.
Have a good one. Happy New Year, everyone. Make
See
it
you
this
next
year be a
week.
great one.
Sir, see y'all next week.
See ya.